Hey there, movie fans. It is time for FYC, the best award season show you will find anywhere with the best pundits, the best hosts. I'm Scott Mance. I'm joined, as always, by the amazing Perri Nemiroff and the mighty Jeff Snyder. And we are in the home stretch with the Oscar nominations because the polls close today. Well, by the time people hear
Yesterday.
this, it'll be yesterday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. But this is the home stretch for the big Oscar nominations, the big 6 categories. So we're going to get right to it with our predictions for the movies that will get nominated for Best Picture. Perri, let's start with you. What's your number one choice here for Best Picture? What's making the cut?
My number one slot right now has King Richard in it.
Okay, fair. I thought about putting King Richard at the top there, but why is it number one?
I'm sticking with what I've been saying for weeks now. I do understand that The Power of the Dog and Belfast are very, very strong contenders, but I see them slowing down, whereas I see King Richard and Coda in particular ramping up. And I think those two movies are only going to climb in their likelihood, not even just to get nominations, but to win. And I do think we're going to wind up with Academy Award winners that, maybe have a more of a feel-good vibe to it.
That is absolutely possible. I thought about putting King Richard as my number one. It's my number 3. And I agree with you that both of these movies are feel-good movies. And with the way that Best Picture actually is chosen to win, which is different from how the other 22 categories are chosen to win, it is possible that either King Richard or Coda could win. They certainly should win. I'm hoping that Coda does win, but we still got a few weeks before we can start to make that call. Jeff, where is King Richard on your list?
I put it down at number 5. I feel like it's lost a little bit of momentum. That the campaign hasn't been the greatest. I would have liked a little bit more visibility from the Williams sisters this season, so I couldn't quite bring myself to put it in the top 3.
That's a good point. But listen, these are 10 nominations. It's not like in the last couple of years where it was maybe up to 10 nominations, but it was usually 8 or 9. We are definitely getting 10 Best Picture nominees. So whether you have it at 1, 3, or 5, like we do for King Richard, it's going to get in. My number one that I have, it's I keep changing it on Gold Derby as well, Perri, but I have it at Belfast. I just think that it's a lock to get nominated. It's definitely a front runner to win. Maybe you're right, Perri. I think it has lost a little momentum, but it is still very much a front-running contender. Where do you have Belfast, Perri?
I have Belfast at number 5 right now.
Okay, wow, down at number 5.
Yeah.
Jeff, how about you?
It's number 4 on my list, Scott.
Number 4 on your list. Perri, why'd you put it down at number 5? I feel like you definitely moved. I saw in your Gold Derby you did put
it down.
Yeah, you moved it down.
I feel like one of the big guilds that have kind of continued to push me in this direction with that movie is SAG. I just thought that was a place where if the push for this movie to get nominations and wins was as strong as I thought it was initially, it was gonna absolutely sweep SAGs, get a whole bunch of nominations for individual actors and probably a cast nomination too. Well, and it didn't get nearly as much as I thought it would over there.
Well, as far as Coda and King Richard are concerned, they both did get nominated for Best Cast at the SAG Awards.
Best ensemble, yes, but still, it got blocked out of the Best Supporting Actor category at SAG. So that's just making me think the groundswell of support is not as big as it may seem.
Well, as far as Coda goes, I mean, it did get nominated for Best Cast, it also got nominated for a PGA. I kind of went with my picks here across between the Producers Guild nominations and the SAG Best Cast nominations. And of course, just my own feeling about what I think is really going to get nominated. So Belfast, PGA nominee, King Richard, PGA nominee. Where, Jeff, do you have Coda on your list?
It's number 2. I lifted it all the way up to number 2.
Perri, I know it's your number 2 as well.
I think Coda's got a real shot. I want to see it win this award so badly. I feel like if Coda winds up winning, it's going to be the type of excitement that I had when Parasite just went like up, 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 and then got the win. I don't know. It was just because I was also so enthusiastic and passionate about that movie compared to the other ones in the running, and I feel like I'm going to feel the same way about Coda, and I
Well,
think it's on that path.
I've been beating the Coda drum for a year now since it debuted at Sundance last January. Coda is also my number two as well. I think it should be number one. It's the movie that I want to win Best Picture. It is the movie I think deserves to win Best Picture for so many reasons. One of them being that I've been beating that drum for a year. It has never wavered. It has always been my number one favorite of the year. So we all have Coda at number two. Where do you all have Power of the Dog, Jeff?
I have it at number 3.
Okay. All right. And Perry?
Yeah, I mean, just losing a little bit of steam, I think.
Mine's number 4. I think Belfast is losing a touch more steam than Power of the Dog. So I have Power of the Dog at 4 and then Belfast at 5.
I think Power of the Dog might be losing maybe a little bit of steam in the Best Picture category, but it is certainly staying put in the Best Director category. We will get to that.
We're talking about movies losing steam. Meanwhile, all the movies we've discussed are all our top 5 for this category, for the record.
That's absolutely true.
Well, because Power of the Dog and Belfast, I think, were positioned as the 1 and 2 this season, and now
Exactly.
I have them at 3 and 4. You have them at 4 and 5.
That's
It's
a great point.
guarantees. It doesn't even matter.
But exactly, these are nominations. So whether we have it at number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5, which by the way, all these movies we talked about, like you said, Perry, are in our top 5. They're in our top 4, or most of them. So they're going to get nominated. West Side Story, I have at number 5, and I think that movie is also, I would say, gaining momentum a little. It's hanging in there. Box office wise, it certainly has not done well. But it did get nominated for a Directors Guild nomination, did not get nominated for a SAG Award nomination for Best Cast, but it did get a Producers Guild nomination. So where, Perry, do you have West Side Story?
West Side Story is my number 3. I'm still really upset about it not getting a cast nomination. I feel like it really deserved that. This movie's ensemble is something else. But I don't know, I just keep catching myself rewatching this one.
Me too.
Just like being caught up in the magic of it more and more every single time I rewatch it. And, it goes back to the argument that I was making before. Not necessarily that this is, like a super feel good story, but it's a classic and it's hugely charming. And Steven Spielberg's adaptation, I think, has a very magical quality to it. And I feel like that's just going to keep people coming back for more viewings. And word of mouth is valuable. So if one person's enthusiastic about this movie, it's just going to keep catching on. So I put West Side Story in the same category as Coda in terms of it being on the rise.
Yeah, I agree completely. And in a perfect world where a pandemic never happened in this century, I would say that West Side Story would be sort of I'm not say a feel-good movie, but it is a classic movie. It is a superior film than the 1961 classic that won 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. And but the fact that it is still in the conversation, certainly among guilds and awards voters, that speaks volumes. Jeff, where do you have West Side Story?
Numero uno.
Wow.
Number 1. Whoa. Okay.
Was not expecting that.
Let's hear it, Mr. Snyder. Number 1.
I just think, as you said, if movies like Power of the Dog and Belfast are losing a little bit of momentum, it means that other movies are gaining a little bit of momentum, and that includes Coda and West Side Story to me. I just can't imagine a world in which we wake up on nomination morning and that's not included in the lineup. So,
absolutely, no question about it. And I think it's interesting how Power of the Dog and Belfast, and I love Belfast, but King Richard is moving up. Coda is certainly moving up, thank goodness. And West Side Story is a film that is slowly moving up. It's definitely not moving down. It's definitely moving upwards in terms of like staying in that conversation. So now I think we're kind of out of the top 5.
Yeah, we all have the same top 5, right?
We all have the same top 5 in slightly different orders, but yeah, I think those movies are absolute locks. Now we get in from 6 to 10.
I'll start with my 6, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
My 6 is the movie that I think could even be in pole position to win this thing, and that would be Dune.
Yeah.
Dune with the
Wow.
below the line support. I mean,
All
it's
right.
love from all the guilds. That is going to be in the best picture lineup, and I do think that it has a chance to win for a movie that I have at number 6.
That is a very valid and accurate statement. Dune does have a chance to win. The only thing kind of holding it back is the fact that it's part one and it feels like
Yeah,
a
that
part
it was
one.
half a movie.
Like, yeah, it's half of a movie, just like Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring was
No,
a
those were full movies.
but it was the third movie that sealed the deal. And I think if this Dune is part one of part two, I think part two, if it's even half as good as part one, would seal the deal. But no, Dune is my number 6 as well. Perry, where do you have Dune?
Just for the record, I know that Dune is part one of a two-part story, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't feel like a full story on its own. Like, look at like everyday life. We go on this gigantic journey. This is our whole story, but then we have sections of story in between. That is what you see here. You
Good
see
point.
you see a very significant character evolution that feels like it has a satisfying end to it. It's just an end that can be used to further his story in the next chapter.
Well,
That's
let's put
just
it this
my
way.
take on Dune. But Dune is my number 7, and I love Jeff's take on its Best Picture win
Listen,
potential.
if Dune wins Best Picture, I'm totally behind that.
I
I
wouldn't
I
mind.
totally get it. I'd be totally happy with that. Rationally, certainly from what both of you were saying, it deserves to win. I just think that
I didn't
uh,
say that for the record, but okay.
Hmm.
no. Listen, Jeff, you have it at number one for very very good reasons,
Number
and your
6.
argument from why it could actually win are also extremely valid. And certainly, Warner Brothers is pulling out all the stops to make sure everyone sees it on the big screen because they're having tons of screenings on the lot at Warner Brothers. All right, so Perry, you have Dune at number 7. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is Licorice Pizza, which, I don't know. I feel like between Dune and Licorice Pizza, I could easily flip flop. Like the ranking doesn't really matter at this point, but I feel like Licorice Pizza just a shoe in for a nomination.
That's
Okay,
my
well,
number 7.
Dune is a PGA nominee. Licorice Pizza is a Producers Guild nominee. I have Licorice Pizza at number 7, just like Jeff does. And Perry, I agree. Like when I was putting my list together here and on Gold Derby, I'm just reading from notes. I kept flipping Dune and Licorice Pizza, but what's the difference? They're both going to get nominated.
Yeah.
And Licorice Pizza is a film that is also, I think, on the rise in terms of being part of the conversation. I know that this coming weekend, Paul Thomas Anderson, writer director PTA, is releasing the film in 70 millimeter in some theaters like the Landmark in West LA, which I think is really, really cool. And it is a film that the more I see it, the more I love it. I've seen it 3 times now, and I think that it really casts a spell. It's a really unique film. Certainly a movie that deserves to be nominated in this category and others. All right, so our top 7, Jeff and Perry, match, even if our order is slightly different, but our top 7 now are the same. So that brings us to 8. And Perry, Nemiroff, what is your number 8?
If I were to rank the movies that would make me most excited for a win, it would be Coda and then this movie.
Okay.
Tick, tick, boom.
Okay.
I
All
adore
right.
this film, and I think with the PGA nomination, there's no doubt in my mind it is going to get a Best Picture nomination, and it deserves it, if not the win.
Okay, Jeff, where do you have Tick Tick Boom on your list?
I also have Tick Tick Boom at number 8, Scott.
Well, guys, I hate to break it to you.
Is it not on your list at all?
It's on it. He's a terrible actor.
It's not on my list at
What?
all. And here's why. Here's why. I don't have Tick Tick Boom on my list. Not because I don't think it's a great movie. I think it is a great movie. But I think all the attention for Tick Tick Boom will be around its lead acting nomination and possibly a win for Andrew Garfield as Best Actor. I love Tick Tick Boom. And it is nominated for a Producers Guild Award. And it is the only one of the Producers Guild Award nominees that I do not have on my list. I know, but here's the thing, Perry and Jeff, I could be swayed to put it on my list in place of another movie that is on my list that is questionable but could surprise. There's going to be a surprise.
I acknowledge that. I think you're right, Scott. There is going to be a surprise, but I don't think it's going to be Tick Tick Boom. So I'm very curious what your surprise will be.
Yeah,
Okay,
me too.
now this is not my number 8, but the movie that I have in place of Tick Tick Boom here is actually Drive My Car. I think there is a lot of groundswell about this film, and I think that
Mm.
2 years after Parasite really just took the award season by storm and made history with wins in screenplay, directing, international feature, and best picture. I don't think that Drive My Car is going to hit all those home runs. But go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
Okay, rebuttal time, because I almost put Drive My Car on the list as well, because I do think that it could get carried into the race by the international support. But I just don't think that it was nearly as entertaining as Parasite. And I say that as someone who thought Parasite was like a B plus. I wasn't doing cartwheels over Parasite, but that's a very entertaining watch. And Drive My Car is a 3-hour slow, just like I just don't see it getting in over these movies that people seem to like, whether it's Tick Tick Boom or Being the Ricardos. You know,
Okay, hold that thought.
you're not
Hold that
crazy,
thought.
man. You're not crazy.
I'm
But
not crazy. I just think that listen, our top 7 movies match. I think that's awesome, and I think that just sort of getting the feel for everything I've been seeing all over the place, out there is like these are the 7 movies that everyone is really, 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 really behind. And I agree, Perri, Tick Tick Boom, and Jeff. I love the film, and I want to put it on. And obviously, the fact that majority rules here does mean that I'm going to Drive My Car off and put Tick Tick Boom on. But I just feel like Drive My Car, when the nominations are announced on Tuesday, February 8th, I still think it is possible that Drive My Car gets on the list. But regardless,
I can't give critics that much credit.
All right, so you both have Tick Tick Boom at number 8 on your list. What is number 9 on your list, Perri?
For the record, my list matches the PGA nominations. So
Okay.
my number 9 is Don't Look Up. And another reason why I think Don't Look Up has a very good chance, when I thought maybe it was one of those movies that was on the bubble before, is the ensemble nomination also.
Right.
The movie is getting, I knew it was going to be in the conversation given the packaging, but that movie's getting even more support than I thought it was going to get initially. So I'm going number 9, Don't Look Up.
I completely agree. I have Don't Look Up at number 8 for the exact same reasons that you said. It's a Producers Guild nominee, SAG Award Best Cast Ensemble nominee, and a movie that is, like so many other films we talked about so far today, gaining momentum. A movie that I think is showing a lot better, and is a lot better than it was when I saw it for the first time. Where do you have Don't Look Up, Jeff?
I also have it at number 9. I just think it involves an issue that people are really passionate about, even though people seem to be mixed on the movie. It is a divisive film. Enough people, I think, really take its message to heart.
Okay, Perri, that means that you get us out of here with your number 10, which I already know what it is.
It's Being
you've
the
got a lot of
Ricardos.
explaining to do.
It's the only one left from the PGA list, at least. But I was a very big fan of this movie. I know it is not widely loved, like across the board. I've read a lot of criticism about it, but I think it's a pretty exceptional film. And I think it's going to wind up getting quite a few nominations. And, especially when I think about we'll get to this a little bit, but when I think about what's going on in the Best Actress race right now, I feel like Nicole Kidman's stock climbing in that department could give it even more of a chance in other categories, including Best Picture. So I almost just spilled my coffee all over me. I'm so excited about Being the Ricardos. It's going to get a nomination.
I also put Being the Ricardos at number 10 for the same reasons that Perri said, basically. And I had it edging out Nightmare Alley.
Okay, I have Being Ricardos at number 9, but that's because I had Drive My Car at number 10. Agree with both of your assessments on Being the Ricardos. The other thing about Being the Ricardos is that it is a movie about Hollywood. And as we have seen over the course of Oscar history, especially in the last dozen years, the Academy loves movies about Hollywood, and Lucille Ball is a legend. And here's a movie about Lucille Ball. It's a trailblazing She's such a trailblazing figure for so many reasons, and I agree. I mean, it's definitely going to show up in other categories as well. But with the exception of Drive My Car, my list mirrors the PGA list.
Way
And
to take a big swing, though, Mance. I'm
Yeah.
proud of you.
well, thanks. But you see, the swing is not that strong because I was so easily talked out of it by both of you. So,
If there is a Best Picture nomination surprise, I kind of think it's going to be Nightmare Alley.
Nightmare Alley, absolutely worthy. And especially, I'll tell you why Nightmare Alley could sneak in there for Best Picture, because Guillermo del Toro is making the rounds
He is.
around LA. He's doing all these appearances for his black and white version of the film, which I have to say is a movie that I like more than the color version.
Can I just say one other thing that excites me a lot about what Guillermo del Toro is doing now? I keep seeing him support other films, like other
Yes.
films in the Oscar conversation.
Sure, 'cause
Right,
he's
he's doing all these.
Like he's a movie fan above all else, but I don't know, this time of year, especially when he has a movie that's really in the race, that always inspires me and it heartens me and it makes me, root for him more than I might have been before.
Yeah, I mean, he's moderating virtual Q&As for his. He's a gracious competitor, is what he is. So, Best Picture, the nominations are going to be Belfast, Power of the Dog, King Richard, Coda, West Side Story, Dune, Licorice Pizza, Don't Look Up, Being the Ricardos, and Tick Tick Boom. Let's move on to. I just wanted to say one thing. Do either of you think that Lost Daughter gets in there?
No.
Not Best Picture. All right, maybe another
Mm-mm.
category. Let's move on to Best Director. Now, where Power of the Dog is in our Best Picture list, it's not our number one. But I think when it comes to Best Director, I think the game has changed. And Perry, you were nodding your head in agreement.
Yes.
What do you who do you have as your number one?
Jane Campion.
Yep,
She's
absolutely.
been my number one for a really, really long time now, too. I don't see that changing.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. Jeff?
I have her at number one, but I do think that the gap between her and number two is a little bit closer.
Okay, possibly. And I think I know what your number two is. But before we get to that, I have Jane Campion also at number one. She's Directors Guild nominee. In fact, all of my picks here are Directors Guild nominees. She is an Oscar winner for original screenplay back with The Piano, also nominated for Best Director for The Piano. And I mean, I think that in terms of Best Director, she is the front runner to win this award. So let's go to number two. Who do you have at number two, Jeff?
Denis Villeneuve.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Right.
How about, is that same for you, Perry?
No, my list is very different. I still have Kenneth Branagh at number two.
Okay, wait. So Jeff, you have Denis Villeneuve at number two,
Yes.
and you said that you think the gap between 1 and 2 is pretty slim.
Not slim, but it's closer than we think.
Okay. All right. Well, Denis Villeneuve gets in. I have Denis Villeneuve at number two, also DGA nominee. He's a prior Oscar nominee for directing Arrival, which I love that movie. So you, Perry, have Denis at number three.
I have him at number four.
You have him at number four. Okay. And you have Kenneth Branagh at number two. Now, do you think that Kenneth Branagh could move up to number one, or do you think that it's kind of at this point?
I think it's going to be the other way around.
Okay.
I'm still giving Belfast the benefit of the doubt in this category, but if anything, I see Belfast swapping spots with my number three.
Okay, wait. Okay, so you have Belfast at number two, Perry. Jeff, where do you have Belfast? Four. Okay, I have Kenneth Branagh at number three, DGA nominee, 5-time Oscar nominee, one for directing Henry V, which I think came out in '89. Someone will correct me on that if I'm wrong. But all right, so I have Kenneth Branagh at three. Jeff has Kenneth Branagh at number four. Perry, who's your number two?
Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, I'm sorry, your number three.
I started that. My number three is Steven Spielberg.
Steve-O.
So obviously right now it's Jane, Kenneth, Steven, Denis for me. I wouldn't be surprised if that list changes to Jane, Steven, Denis, Kenneth in the very near future.
Why?
Because I'm still thinking that Belfast stock is going down and other things are going up.
Sure. Possibly. Yeah, no.
But I don't think that's changing in this category with Power of the Dog.
No,
I think Jane Campion is staying there.
I agree completely. I part of the same reason that the same reasoning that we brought up in Best Picture for West Side Story moving up. West Side Story could also move up here for director, but I don't think that Steven Spielberg is going to knock Jane Campion from the front runner to win. I have Spielberg at number 4. Jeff, do you have Spielberg on your list?
Yeah, he's number 3 on mine, same as
He's
Perry.
number 3 on yours. So I think our top 4 match, right? Jane Campion,
Mhm.
Denis Villeneuve, Kenneth Branagh, Steven Spielberg, but different orders. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So that means we are at number 5. Who gets the 5th slot, Jeff?
I think it's Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza.
Yep, I agree. I agree. He's a
Oh,
DGA
no.
nominee.
Yeah.
And Perry, do you have PTA at number 5?
No curveballs here. I'm going PTA.
PTA, right. So that means our list matches the Directors Guild nominations list because Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza is a DGA nominee. He's also an 8-time Oscar nominee, 2 of them for Best Picture for Phantom Thread and There Will Be Blood. Any of you think that either Adam McKay or Guillermo del Toro sneak in there, or even Ronaldo Marcus Green for King Richard? No.
Mm-mm.
All right. I agree with both of you. Let's move on to Best Actress. We were talking a lot, Perry. I know you loved
I have so much to say about this category. I feel like I'm going to be a broken record, but I
Oh,
I
no?
still can't believe how this all turned out.
Okay. Well, I know you love being the Ricardos.
I do.
Does that affect your number 1 choice for Best Actress?
My number 1 choice for this category is now Nicole Kidman for being the Ricardos.
Who was it, and why did you change it?
Kristen Stewart because she didn't get the SAG nomination.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I too have Nicole Kidman at number 1. Jeff, how about you?
Number 1, Nicole Kidman.
Wow. Shoot. Listen
It's
to
happening. It's happening.
this. Team FYC.
Can
This
I
is
just
like-
say, I walked out of my first Being the Ricardo screening thinking she should be up there as like a top tier contender for this Academy Award nomination. And then some reviews started to roll in, and other people weren't as high on the movie overall as I was. And I'm like, oh no, it's not going to happen. And now look at where we are.
Yes.
I'm
isn't
thrilled
that
about
funny
it.
how that happens, Perry? Isn't that funny
I
how
like
that
it.
happens?
I'm very passionate about that movie.
I love it too. I think that's one of the things that makes doing FYC so much fun is watching things go up and down. And Jeff, obviously you agree. What's your reasoning for why Nicole Kidman is your number 1 choice?
Because it's a weak year, Scott.
No.
Yeah. No, I
That's
think
not like it is.
my favorites in this category, I think, are long shots to get nominated. And so when I look at the people who are likely to get nominated, Nicole just seems like the favorite far and away.
I listen. This will be her 2nd Academy Award win if she wins, and I'm predicting a win here because she is number 1 for the 3 of us. She is a SAG nominee, and she won the Academy Award for Best Actress for The Hours, which came out in 2002. So it's been a while. She also has 2 Emmys for Big Little Lies.
And a lot of it, though, is also the character in the movie. The movie has energy to it in a way that The Lost Daughter really doesn't. And she's
Right.
quite strong, showbiz, a woman surrounded by men in this male-dominated field.
Completely
I
agree.
think that she has the stuff. Yeah.
And again, Nicole Kidman is playing Lucille Ball. She was a trailblazer. She's just the fact that she's playing someone so revered in this industry and in Hollywood history that would be enough. But Nicole Kidman does a superb job. I have Kristen Stewart, who was my number 1, like Perry pointed out, until her SAG snub. But you know what? A snub doesn't mean that she doesn't make the list. A snub just means that she moves down from number 1, because she was my favorite to win, to number 2 on my list. Where do you have Kristen Stewart, Perry?
She has moved down to my number 3.
Okay.
And it's because I think my number 2 is like an undeniable given. And I think we're going to be talking about my number 2 being number 2 in this race through to the end. But I think Kristen Stewart needs a nomination. And I also think she, like, as much as I love Nicole Kidman, if you gave me the vote for the win, I think Kristen Stewart should be walking away with this Oscar.
I agree. I mean, look, I was saying for 3 months when I saw Spencer at Telluride that Kristen Stewart was a front runner to win. And then, being the Ricardos kind of like derailed that a little bit. But look, Kristen Stewart, she's gonna get nominated, and I think if she does get nominated, that momentum could make her move up on the contention to actually win. Where, Jeff, do you have Kristen Stewart on your list?
She is my number 3 behind Olivia Colman, who's my number 2.
Okay, Olivia Colman is my number 3. Jeff has Olivia Colman at number 2. I'm assuming, Perri, are you in line with Jeff here?
I am.
Okay, let's talk about Olivia Colman in The Lost Daughter for Best Actress.
I mean, I thought she was great. It's a great performance. The movie's just it's not quite there for me, and so I think that it's just the movie that gives Nicole the edge.
Perri?
The performance is great.
I think I'm kind of in the same boat. Feels like being the Ricardos just has the wider audience and will spark a little more enthusiasm. But I feel like because Olivia Colman is Olivia Colman and she's incredible, she's got an Oscar to her name, she's just exceptional all around. Like this is going to be one of those things where no matter who we have in the number 1 spot, I feel like we're going to be saying like, but like Olivia Colman couldn't sneak in and upset them for the win. So
well, that
Olivia
wouldn't be the
Colman's going
first
to be my
time.
number 2 for a while, I think.
That would not be the first time that
Nope.
Olivia Colman upset this category because she won over Glenn Close.
Never
Remember that
forget.
bet that Jeff and I had on season 1 of FYC? That was when Olivia Colman won for The Favorite over Glenn Close.
We'll be discussing a bet shortly.
Yes, and she is also she's also an Emmy winner for The Crown, and she was nominated last year for supporting actress for The Father. Of course, she was a nominee. Look, Olivia Colman is great in this movie. I have her at number 3. I could easily flip her and Kristen Stewart and match your list, but I'm sticking with her at number 3. So our top 3 are the same. So that moves us to number 4. Perri, who do you have at number 4?
I'm keeping Jessica Chastain in that spot. I think it's a done deal. I think she's getting the nomination. I think really the only toss up at this point is the 5th spot.
I agree with you. I think Jessica Chastain is definitely getting nominated. She is a SAG nominee. She has 2 prior Oscar nominations for Zero Dark 30 for Best Actress and for Supporting Actress for The Help. I think she's a lock here. Jeff, how are you feeling about Jessica Chastain now?
I don't have her on the list.
Oh, wow.
Don't. Interesting.
I don't think she's a lock at all.
You don't think she's a lock? Okay.
No.
All right. Hold that thought.
My own bias, but
hold that thought. I have Jessica Chastain at number 5 on my list. My number 4, I'm wondering if it's either your 4 or 5, Perri, or I'm sorry, your 4.
5.
Your 5.
5.
Who's your 5?
Lady Gaga.
Right. She's my number 4. Yep. SAG nominee. She already is an Academy Award winner, just to be clear, for Best Song for Shallow for A Star Is Born. She was also nominated for A Star Is Born for Best Actress. Jeff, do you have Lady Gaga on your list?
I really didn't know what to do with my 5 spot, but no, I don't.
Oh,
I don't have either of them on my list.
Who do you have?
I don't know what I'm doing in this category, clearly. But I do think that, we always see something funky with the acting nominations. I think it's going to be this category.
All right. So then who do you have at number 4, Jeff?
I have Penelope Cruz, sight unseen.
Yes.
I just think that the international vote and how much respect, she's a past winner, the respect that people have for her, I think she gets carried in somehow.
And who do you have at number 5?
I don't really know.
Come on, Jeff.
I really just have something weird happens here. But whether it's Tessa Thompson for Passing, or Amelia Jones for Coda, or Jennifer Hudson for Respect, or even the worst person in the world, Renata Rensby, I think something weird happens here. So that's my.
All right. Okay. Now, all right. So first of all, Perri. All right. So, well, first of all, Lady Gaga and Jessica Chastain are on my list.
I'll defer to you. Those can be our official predictions. But I'm just
wait a minute. Hang on a second. I do think that there is a possibility for either Lady Gaga or Jessica Chastain to lose their places here, in place of one person that I definitely agree with your pick here is Penelope Cruz. She is magnificent in Parallel Mothers. It's one of the best performances she gave. Certainly with Pedro Almodovar, it's one of the best performances she gave. And I also have, because she was a SAG nominee, is Jennifer Hudson for Respect. But I also think, I mean, I'm telling you, Perry, you have said many times now during this conversation that Coda keeps gaining momentum. And because of that SAG Best Ensemble nomination, more people could have seeked out Coda and watched it on Apple TV Plus, giving Amelia Jones a real chance to enter into this category, which I think is a strong possibility. A, because she deserves it. Because what is Coda without Amelia Jones? I mean, she's the movie. She's in like every scene of the film, right?
I would be thrilled. I truly do think Lady Gaga deserves to be here. She's one of my favorite performances in House of Gucci, and I was very, very, very high on her getting the nomination when I walked out of my first screening, and I still hold on to that. So I'll be happy if she gets the nomination. But if Lady Gaga gets bumped out, I would be beyond thrilled to see Amelia Jones, of all people, get the nomination. I think when it comes to Coda stock rising, a lot of rising would be needed for that to happen. So I don't necessarily think she is the most likely to upset the 5 that I have named. I do really think that Penelope Cruz has a real shot. And
Yep.
that's another one where if she knocks one of these out, I wouldn't be mad about it. As for Jennifer Hudson, the SAG nomination does have me considering her more than I did before, but I still think that's going to wind up being a long shot. So I think it's Penelope Cruz and really no one else at this
So
point.
you guys are predicting 5 white actresses, and I don't think that happens.
See,
And
that's
I know Penelope Cruz is technically white, but yeah, I
see,
think either her, Jennifer Hudson, somebody.
I think that there is a potential for someone else to sneak in and take the place, of one of the places of that Perry and I have for like Lady Gaga or Jessica Chastain, and most likely Lady Gaga. Jennifer Hudson is a someone who, if she gets nominated, I would completely support that. Penelope Cruz gets nominated, I would completely support that. Emilia Jones gets nominated, not only would I support that, I would be over the moon for that to happen.
Nobody
Because
has seen Tammy. Tammy Faye is not in the awards conversation at all.
But it is
see,
because
I don't agree.
they're almost entirely focused on getting Jessica Chastain the nomination. What are they in the running for? Hair and makeup in addition to this?
That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
They're putting a lot behind her right now.
I actually think that the Eyes of Tammy Faye is a front runner for hair and makeup. But
Yeah,
I do
that's
think that
for you.
I think Jessica
She's
Chastain.
also a producer on that movie. And I
Exactly,
hope
yeah.
I truly hope people are aware of it, because it's not just one of those situations where I'm like, oh, she's the lead and she's the producer, so she did a lot of work and you should vote for her. It's a situation where I could see the investment she has in being a producer on that movie influencing what I see on the screen in the end and influencing it in a positive manner. So I don't like, again, this is more my personal opinion, I guess, than the voting body and me predicting what they're thinking. But I hope that's being considered.
I could be wrong. I'm just saying. I know we need to move on to the next category because we're pressed for time. But and don't forget, we have a bet on that. So if Chastain does not get in, $20. If she does get in, I owe you, man.
That's well, I'm sticking to the bet here. So our best actress nominees will be Nicole Kidman, Kristen Stewart, Olivia Colman, Lady Gaga, and Jessica Chastain. Though, you know what? Jennifer Hudson, Penelope Cruz, and Amelia Jones, go with God. All right, let's move on to best actor. I have a number 1 that I think both of you will share. Perry, who do you have for number 1 for best actor?
I think Will Smith is sitting at number 1 right now, and
Yep.
I think he's got a bit of a lead at this point.
I agree. I completely agree. He's my number 1 with a big lead, SAG nominee, also 2 prior Oscar noms for Pursuit of Happiness and Ali. Jeff, where is Will Smith on your list?
He's number 1, and this is a lock. This is over with. Give him the Oscar. Andrew Garfield was fantastic, but Will Smith has paid another like 20 years of dues that Andrew Garfield hasn't quite paid yet. So I just think he's definitely getting rewarded this year.
Well, I think Andrew Garfield gets nominated. Where do you have Andrew Garfield on your list, Jeff?
He's number 2.
He's number 2 on your list. SAG nominee, prior Oscar nomination for Hacksaw Ridge. Where is Andrew Garfield on your list, Perry?
He is also my number 2.
He's my number 3. And I think he's fantastic. And I actually probably should have flipped him with who I have down at number 2, who's Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog, SAG nominee, prior Oscar nomination for The Imitation Game. And both Andrew and Benedict are also riding a huge wave of popularity this year with their roles in the Spider-Man No Way Home. Where do you have Benedict Cumberbatch on your list, Perry?
He is my number 3, and see, it's happening.
Yep, it's happening
That
again.
little, like, I think Benedict Cumberbatch is getting the nomination no matter what, but he was my number 1 for a while, and now he's my number 3.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
He's my number 3, and he's definitely lost a little momentum this season because he was positioned as the front runner early on.
Well, 3 still means he gets nominated, and our top 3 match, our order's a little different. So moving down to number 4, Jeff, who do you have number 4 for Best Actor?
I got Denzel for reading some Shakespeare.
Oh.
Well, I have him at number 4 as well. He is 2 Oscars already for Training Day and a lead, and supporting for Glory, 6 Oscar nominations for acting, in addition to his 2 wins. Perry, where do you have Denzel Washington?
He is my number 4 as well.
He is my number 4 as well. Our top 4 match, and that brings us to the number 5 slide, which is where the game can really change. Perry, who's your number 5?
I can't tell if this is me being stubborn about it at this point, but I really want to see Peter Dinklage get a nomination, and I'm sticking with it. I know nothing they've done with Cyrano has really increased its chances at this point, but again, we talk about upsets all the time, and this just seems like one of the most likely upsets for me at this point. But it's not really even an upset because he's on the bubble. It's not like he's coming from out of left field with a nomination here. But the Javier Bardem SAG nomination has me worried about his chances, but I'm still backing him here. I think he's going to get it.
I think that, well, first of all, I too have Peter Dinklage as number 5 on my list. I just think that he's magnificent. Now, the movie got pushed back a little because of Omicron, and they were supposed to have a big premiere at the Academy Museum in December, and that or end of December, beginning of January, that got derailed because of Omicron. So they pushed back a lot of things, including the Oscar campaigning, including the release date. So hopefully Academy voters have seen it. Now, I think he's deserving. I think he absolutely deserves to be in this category. Javier Bardem's nomination at the SAG was a bit of a surprise. That's why I still think that Javier could get on here, but most likely I think it'll be Peter. Who is your number 5, Jeff?
I did go with Javier Bardem. Like I said, a rising tide lifts all boats. I think he'll benefit from that movie probably getting into the Best Picture lineup. I haven't seen Cyrano, so that is also part of it. Like if I had seen Cyrano and been blown away by Peter Dinklage's performance, maybe I'd put him on. But to do it sight unseen over Javier, I don't think I can do that. And I still think Nick Cage has a chance, and Simon Rex along with Dinklage. So I'm going to go with Javier.
Listen, Simon Rex and Nicolas Cage are in the same sort of
Right.
out of left field, like total Oscar surprise, which could happen. But Jeff, I think if you saw Cyrano, you would have put Peter Dinklage on this list because he really is that good.
Yeah. Again, it's not in the mix for these other categories, so I got to go with Bardem by default.
Okay, well, fortunately for me and Perry, we agree on having Peter Dinklage on our list. So that means our top 5 for Best Actor are Will Smith, Benedict Cumberbatch, Andrew Garfield, Denzel Washington, and Peter Dinklage. But hey, you know what? Javier Bardem could take over in this category. Let's move on to.
You want to make a bet?
You want to bet? No, I'm not going to bet here. I'm saving my bet for. We already have a bet.
We've got another bet coming up in a later category. Let's
save the bets here. Let's save the bets here. Let's make it count. Supporting actress. I mean, talk about a lock, not just to get nominated, but a lock to win. Perry, who do you got for number 1?
This has officially become Ariana DeBose's award to lose. It's happening again. The Power of the Dog was number 1 for forever, and now we're seeing all that West Side Story momentum pick up. And I just think that Ariana DeBose is phenomenal in the movie itself, but I also think she's been doing all the right things, promoting it as well. And she's just such a charmer. I feel like everything is working in her favor right now, and I can't wait and hope to see her walk away with that statue.
She was awesome when she hosted SNL. Jeff, where do you have Ariana DeBose on your list?
I have her at number 2, and the idea that she's a lock to win is insane. Do you know how many older white Academy members there are where if Ariana DeBose rang their doorbell right now, they'd have no idea who she is? You can't snap your finger and make 9,000 people instantly aware of you.
First of
Kirsten
all,
Dunst has been around for 20 years. She is very much in the mix here.
Jeff, you are so fundamentally wrong. The Academy membership not only has it doubled, but it has doubled with so much diversity here that to just say, dismiss the Academy voting membership as being a bunch of old white people, that doesn't work anymore because that is not the
I
case.
didn't dismiss it. I said that there's. Do you know how many? Like those people are still there. It is a more diverse.
They are,
Like
but
disappear.
it's not only about them, and the fact that West Side Story has gone up in its placing in other categories that we've talked about, I think that just seals the deal for Ariana DeBose to not only get nominated, but I mean, I have her, she's my pick that she's going to win. I have Kirsten Dunst. Well, where do you have Kirsten Dunst? Well, wait, Jeff, where do you have Ariana DeBose?
She's my number 2 behind Kirsten Dunst at number 1.
Okay, so you have Kirsten Dunst at number 1. All right. Perry, where do you have Kirsten Dunst?
I have her at number 2. I'm not going to say it's completely out of the realm of possibility that she goes on to win, but I do think that Ariana DeBose has a significant lead at this point.
Okay, I have Kirsten Dunst at number 4 on my list.
Wow,
She really
that's
moved
a
down for
big
me.
drop.
But look, she's getting nominated. So what's the difference? But she's number 4 on my list, SAG nominee as well. Jeff, I agree. I mean, she's been, like what year was Interview with the Vampire? 1994. That was 25 years ago. So that's look, I mean, she's going to get nominated. Okay, wait a minute. My number 2 is actually one of the biggest snubs other than Kirsten Dunst
I
at
like
the
this.
SAGs. My number 2 is Audrey Ellis from King Richard. I thought that she was magnificent in that movie. Her SAG snub just like baffles me. She was so great. Held her own big time with Will Smith, and that's a bold statement. I think that, I mean, she's definitely getting nominated for an Oscar for supporting actress. Perry, do you have her on your list?
She's my number 4. I moved her down a little because of the SAG snub, but as like upset as I am over her snub and Kristen Stewart's snub, I feel like the talk about the snub is going to help Ingenue Ellis a little more than I'm confident it will help Kristen Stewart, if that makes much sense.
Yeah.
I think they're both absolutely absurd to have been left off of the SAG list, but I'm rooting for Ingenue Ellis. I mean, that's like, this is another, like, I really wouldn't mind if she won the award either. She's so good in that
She's
movie.
great. I agree completely. Jeff, do you have Ingenue Ellis on your list?
She is also my number 4. And yeah,
She's your number 4.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's very good.
All right. So then, Perry, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Katrina Balfe for Belfast. That's just one that's felt like very steady to me the entire time. And I don't think that's going anywhere.
I agree. I have Katrina Balfe at number 3 on my list as well. Jeff, you?
Number 3 on my list as well, but I don't feel great about it.
What do you mean you don't feel great
Really?
about it?
I think there's a bunch of women that I left off this list who could really get the passion vote, whether it's someone like Catherine Hunter, who's great as the witches in the tragedy of Macbeth. I don't think she's going to get a nomination, but there are enough people who thought she was so great that she could somehow slip in. Or I think everyone is respectful and, they admire Balfe's performance, but I don't think anybody's like, she was amazing.
I
feel
thought
like
she was amazing.
This category has the most exciting batch of potential surprises to me.
Agree.
Yes.
But still, I think Katrina Balfe has no chance of winning, but I do think she's going to get the nomination.
That means that our top 4 match. Ariana DeBose, Ingenue Ellis, Katrina Balfe, and Kirsten Dunst. And number 5 is where the score can really change here because my pick for number 5 is kind of I don't want to say it's a long shot, but it's not someone who everyone's saying will get nominated. I think it's kind of someone who could kind of get in there as a pleasant surprise. I have Marlee Matlin for Coda. I mean, I think again, for the same reason that I think that Emilia Jones should get nominated, for the same reason that supporting actor is kind of a lock. Marlee Matlin is magnificent in the film, but she's not. I mean, I could be swayed here for the sake of this list. I'm assuming neither one of you have Marley Matlin on your list. You're shaking your head. Perry, who's your number 5?
So I think, given who is on the bubble right now, I am going to be very happy with any of these three that I'm thinking of who get this fifth spot. But because of the SAG nominations, I'm leaning Ruth Negga at this point. But I think it's down to Ruth Negga, Marley Matlin, or Andowd.
And not Kate Blanchett, who was also the
I'm
SAG
no,
nominee.
I'm drawing the line there. I really, again, I do think Kate Blanchett is wonderful in Nightmare Alley. Like, she is in every movie that she's in for that
Yeah,
matter, but
yeah, yeah.
you can't compare what she's doing. I mean, really, the whole idea of comparing performances in completely different films is like something that my brain can't fully process anyway, but I don't know. When I think of an Academy Award statue being given to someone, it's just like what she does in Nightmare Alley is it's not the same as passing Coda and Mass.
Well, Jeff, who do you have at number 5?
Uh, I'm with Perry on this. I'm going with Ruth Negga, as I did when we predicted the SAG. Totally acknowledge it could be Marley Matlin, could be Ann Dowd, could be Catherine Hunter, Rita Moreno, Jessie Buckley. You know, this is a deep category. But yeah, Kate Blanchett, we nominate her for everything. She didn't do anything special in either of her movies this year. I think Ruth Negga gets in.
Okay, well, I am overruled here. So Ruth Negga makes it in. Marley Matlin moves off, but she could get nominated. So could Ann Dowd. I would love to see that happen. So our supporting actress list is, let's see, Ariana DeBose, Anjou Ellis, Katrina Balfe, Kirsten Dunst, and Ruth Negga. Moving on to supporting actor, I hinted at this front runner. I have Troy Kotsur at number 1, SAG nominee for Coda. Magnificent nominee also for a Spirit Award, which I just think is great. And either of you have Troy Kotsur at number 1? If not, where do you got him? Perry.
This category is an absolute mess for me, but I am pretty certain about my top 2 picks, but Troy Kotsur is my number 2.
Okay, yes. Fantastic. Jeff?
He's my number 2 as well, behind Cody Smith-McPhee at number 1. I just think that kid has a date with Oscar. He's been flooded with offers lately.
Uh-oh,
You
Jeff's
gotta go.
Going off. Jeff's got to go. Jeff, wake up, Jeff. Okay, Cody Smith-McPhee, I have at number 2. I'm assuming, Perry, you have Cody at number 1
Number
as
1.
well.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think it's his to lose.
All right, this is actually the hardest category. We're saving it for last. I know we have to, wrap it up in a bit, but Perry, who do you have at number 3?
My number 3 is Kieran Hines. I'm sticking with it. I still think it's going to happen.
Even though he was snubbed at the SAG Awards.
Even though he was snubbed.
I agree.
I think it's more, I think my feelings about that is more based on who else is in the mix and maybe a certain something that I refuse to do.
Okay, well, I have Kieran Hines at number 4, despite the snag stub. I think that he gets in. I think that he's the supporting actor for Belfast that definitely gets in. Maybe another one. Kieran Hines, Jeff, is he on your list?
Nope.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right.
Here we go.
All right.
Clear number 3 in this category for me is definitely Bradley Cooper for Licorice Pizza.
That's fair.
Okay. All right. Bradley Cooper, I don't have on my list at all, but I could be swayed. Perry, do you have Bradley Cooper on your list?
Bradley Cooper is my number 4, and I could be swayed to bump him up to number 3 and Kieran Hines down to number 4. But Kieran Hines is not coming off the list.
Okay. I have Kieran Hines on my list. So does Perry. Jeff and Perry had Bradley Cooper on their list. Okay. So that means who takes the number 5 slot, Perry?
Shit. I mean, I'm just taking a swing. I'm taking a swing with this. I'm going Mike Feist for West Side Story. I know it's very unlikely, but I do not care. It will not be Jared Leto. Not Jared Leto.
I think you need to take your heart out of the situation,
No.
Perry.
I won't do it.
Jeff, is Jared on your list?
It's a Paolo Gucci. Of course he's on the list. Of course. Why would he not be on the list?
No.
Is that a yes?
Yes, he's number 4.
All right. I have Jared at number 5. So I'm just going to say, for the sake of having to have majority rule here, that means our supporting actor list is Cody Smith-McPhee.
I haven't gone.
Yeah.
Troy Kotsur, hang on. Kieran Hines, Jared Leto, and Bradley Cooper. That's the list. But
why? I haven't given my number 5 yet.
Well, who's your number 5?
Jamie Dornan.
Do you have Jamie Dornan-Mance?
I
Yeah,
do. I
Oh,
do.
well, that changes things.
That does change things. But
we
here's
both,
the thing.
you and I both have Dornan, and the two of you both have Hines, but you and I also have Leto, but you don't have Cooper.
All right. Well, here's what I'm going to do because I play nice. I play nice. I'm actually going to take Jamie Dornan off my list, put Bradley Cooper on,
Can
and
we
so
have the Hines versus Dornan conversation before Perry leaves? I know we have 2 minutes.
okay. Well, then
Why
what?
why is Hines in over Dornan?
Because Hines is he's been at this game for a very, very, very long time. He's one of those actors. He's good in everything he does, and I think he's finally getting some attention here. And I think that people are going to go, you know what? Kieran Hines is a great actor, and he's great in Belfast. He's going to get nominated. That's what I think.
Does Dornan have a bigger role? Like, could that give him the edge?
It could. But I'm going with Kieran because of just his longevity in the business. Perry.
I think there's a lot of reasons why one could be considered a more likely option than the other. But for me, what I think it's coming down to has nothing to do with the quality of their performance at all. It is simply the fact that the conversation has put Kieran Hines above Jamie Dornan from the start. And sometimes that conversation just gets into heads and gives someone an advantage for reasons that have nothing to do with the performance they give. So I think Kieran Hines has always had the edge and will continue to.
I think
And
Dornan's been working the town and campaigning hard, and he's going to get it over Hines.
You might be right. You might be right. Well, we're going to find out this coming Tuesday. Meanwhile, this category I think is the most volatile of the 6 that we have discussed because you could get upset, not necessarily upsets, but Ben Affleck for Tender Bar, Jesse Plemons for Power of the Dog. Perry brought up Mike Face for West Side Story, and then there's Woody Norman, who held his own with Joaquin Phoenix and Come On, and then John Bernthal, who was fantastic in King Richard. Any one of those actors could get nominated for supporting
Jason
actor.
Isaacs.
And then there's Jason Isaacs for Mass. But
Felt like saying it.
our list
Yeah, go to
for
bed.
supporting actor is Troy Kotsur, Cody Smith-McPhee, Kieran Hines, Jared Leto, and Bradley Cooper. And that means that we have predicted our 6 big categories for the Oscar nominations, which will be announced on Tuesday, February 8th. And on Tuesday, February 8th, not only will we have a brand new episode of FYC to talk about the Oscar nominees, we are going to be live on the morning of Tuesday, February 8th to go over our list of the Oscar nominees. I mean, this show is basically live, but it's live to tape. So that show is really, really, really going to be live. So make sure you join us for FYC on Perry's channel for FYC. Perry, you're looking at me weird. Are we not doing that?
I'm looking at Jeff weird. He's making faces.
I'm flying back to LA on the 7th, and so on the 8th, I'm going to the new apartment. So we may have to just work out the time because I should be
That's
able
a
to do
deal.
it
All right.
very early.
That's a
We'll
good
figure it out.
reason to have to reassess the time.
Maybe I'll come
I'm
over
happy
to
for
Perry's.
you.
Okay,
I
well,
won't
that is
be
a
here.
great
I'll be
reason
on the
to
wrong
reassess the
coast.
time. That's a great reason to reassess the time. Either way, we will be back next week with our show, our FYC show on the Oscar nominees. And this is like what it's all about. This is very, very, very exciting. So make sure you come back to Perry's channel next week for our brand new episode of FYC. Make sure you share this episode of FYC with movie fans everywhere. Post it on your social media. Until next week for FYC, FY, see you later.